In this video, I'm going to share on how to train your teachers to A+. That's usually four things that you need to do before training them, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So let's get started with the first one, which is to record yourself. So if I were to ask you this question, how do you teach? You probably have some like, I don't know, that kind of thing. But if I were to just say, how do you conduct your lessons? You probably have a good idea. But the best way is to actually record yourself, because when you record yourself, you see yourself at a different perspective. Because when you teach, you sometimes are so focused on the lesson that you don't know what you're doing is actually helping or make it a very good experience, which is very normal. I've been through that as well. And this is also a very good material for your future hires that you wanna hire and also manage, because now they know what a good lesson looks like. And if you were to do online teaching, it's the best because it's pretty easy. Just switch on record on your Zoom or your Google Meet, and then you can literally record yourself teaching. And you see different things that you do. Maybe say students' name if you want to get an answer. Maybe you compliment students when they were to answer you voluntarily. So these are things that you see or you might actually naturally do, and that's why you need to review it, which comes to my second point, which is document everything. Literally write down everything. When you see yourself, when you see your recordings, write down, okay, Hari said good morning. Hari said thank you. Hari say a student's name if they answer a question. Hari's, ask a student's name on what the question might be because the student did not participate. That kind of thing. Hari's, do a lot of things. So just put every single thing, because this is something that you can show, or this is something that you should show to the people that you're hiring, because you want to be working on the business, right? Eventually you might not even teach anymore, but at least you have something documented so that everyone who's going to teach for you at least know the list of how to do certain things. And the thing is that if I were to ask you what is the color of an apple, so most of you might say red, but some of you might say green, because what's normal to you might not be normal to other people. You might be thinking or had hired someone and said, hey, why this tutor or this teacher that I hired never smile to the students, never say good morning to every single student that comes into class. Isn't that what normal teachers do? No, it depends, because sometimes the tutor has gone through a school or a tuition center where they don't even greet each other, and that's normal to them. So you need to help them understand that in this tuition center you need to, for example, greet the students, smile at them, have breaks in between. So for me, back when I was teaching and created the whole curriculum and the lessons, right, it is very normal for the lesson to finish. So for example, I have a 2 hour lesson and we finish maybe 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes. It is deliberate because the empty time that we have is for the students to actually do the homework, because that's what we found out, that it actually helps them to progress in their, I was teaching coding, so progress in their coding. Otherwise they won't do it, because most of the time if you don't give them the time or the exact time that they do, they won't do it. So that's something that I had to explain to the teachers, tutors, instructors that I hired as well. The next thing is to document what you do before the lesson, right? You just know because the recording is during the lesson. What about before? So, same thing. Oh, I thought normally teachers need to prepare before lessons, right? And that's something that you need to document and tell them that, hey, you need to, before the lesson, 1 day before the lesson, you need to go through the lesson, because this will help you better understand and catch certain things that you might don't want to fail or make a mistake during the lesson, right? Very simple. And something overlooked, document what you do after the lesson. So maybe after the lesson, you actually message the parents, you actually message the students if they need any help. So these are all of the processes that you're building for the business that you are creating, because you are essentially just documenting what you have done. And if everything is done according to what you have documented, does that mean they can literally replace you? And the answer is yes, they can replace you, right? And then another thing that I think some of you might be very good at is handling different types of students. There are certain students that are a little bit slower. There's certain students that are very hyperactive. So how do you handle these kind of students, right? Because students are the ones that's paying the bills. And if you're able to handle these students and actually teach them in a document or even a training, it helps because now the teachers are very capable to handle different types of students, right? The best students are the ones that just go into class, listen to you, and they just do the homework, right? But not all students are like that. So how do you handle students? That's something that every tutor has a different way to do it, or they don't. So these are things that you need to think about, right? After documenting everything, the next thing is training. So you see that to train the teachers, you need to prepare the training. Otherwise, you'll be wondering, I teach, but they don't do, and it's like, so these are things that you need to prepare. Otherwise, you will just be creating, we call this a spinning door, right? So people come in and people come out, right? Because your training wasn't that good, or your material to train the teachers are not that good. So now we come to the training. There are many ways to train the teachers because every education center, tuition center is somewhat similar yet different. We have our own ways to help students achieve their results. But generally, the more effort you put into training, the higher the quality of teachers, right? So just to share, like for example, one of the tuition centers called the Peak Lab, they don't hire part timers; they hire full timers because they know that they put in a lot of effort to train the teachers, and the teachers are the reflection of the business, right? The tuition business. So they put a lot of effort because they know that this will deliver higher quality not only to the learning experience but to the overall experience, because the more students stay, the longer the students stay with you, the more lifetime value you are getting from the student, and if they really like it, then they share with other friends and your business grows. So essentially I like to create quadrants, right? Two by two kind of things. So there is the low effort to train, or and then there is also the low quality to teach. So this is how it looks like. But I'm going to share with you the bottom one that you shouldn't do at all, which is having little to low effort or no effort. And then this usually brings low quality most of the time. So some of you might hire before and actually throw them to the class and teach. And the thing is that you might be wondering, hey, this teacher shouldn't teach like this, right? So, and then they didn't perform. So whose fault is this? Look at yourself into the mirror and you know the answer, right? It's your fault because you're the one who hired but didn't teach at all, and then you just give them to teach, and then suddenly you realize, hey, they are not teaching according to my values or to how I teach. And whose fault is it? Yes. Right, the next one is you put in high effort. So you actually put in a lot of effort, but then the quality of teaching, the quality of learning experience is not that great. So this means only one thing, which is not a good fit. Essentially, this person cannot actually, deliver a good quality of education, even though you spend a lot of time. And that sometimes happens because, you might hire, they might put up a very good front, or maybe along the way they are not really improving, and that's where you see that they're not a good fit, and that's where you probably have to fire them. All right, the next one is the best, right? Low effort, high quality, and this is something that I've experienced before, right? So number one is if you were to hire a great teacher who has done it, you've seen their work before, then generally what I'll do is to just have this teacher to shadow me, right? Just see how I teach. All right, and I'll probably have all the learning materials, the training materials for them to go through, and then generally you can let them off lah because they know how to teach well, and it's just certain things that I need to tweak. Will tell this person that usually if they are great, they will follow and actually improve on that. And from there, most of the time, what I usually recommend, a more scalable way, is that I would have my students to be the teachers because number one, they know how I teach. My my very good teacher that I hired was a student of mine, and the thing is that he knew how I thought, all the different little things that I do right during the class, whether it is telling them how they're doing in the first 5 minutes of the lesson, just building rapport. He does it because he knows exactly how I teach and it works, and then he improves on it. So I didn't really have to teach much, to be honest, and he really delivered very, very well. So this is what we call the low effort, high quality. Because if a student knows how you teach, you generally don't really need to train them, maybe tweak here and there, but they generally can deliver or maybe teach better than you. And that's what my previous ex, teacher and tutor or instructor actually did for me. And lastly, high effort, high quality. So this is what most or if not all of you are gonna get, because that is the general sense, right? It's what you're gonna get. It's the normality. It's normality, right? Okay, so first thing is that to do this, number one is to of course make them watch your class recording, a very good one, right? That you deem very, very good. So make them watch because now they know how a whole class looks like. The second thing is to make them go through your documentation. So you say that, okay, before the class, you need to do this 10 minutes, arrive through the class, and then greet the students, blah, 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 everything else. Then the third one is to make them sit into one class, right? So these are just a guide. You can follow exactly what I would do, or you can just pick certain things, right? So for me, generally, even watching a recording, I rather let them sit in the class and assist me, right? Because now they have a sense of how the students are, and then they can assist and they know what are the different things that students actually face that can improve in our lesson and in how we teach. Because I know that my teaching is like, I guess it's above average, I would say, but it's not the best, right? And the thing is that there's definitely things that I can improve on, and that's why an assistant really help, because they know what the students are facing in the students perspective. And then once that's done, then let them teach in one class. That's where you actually see how they perform, right? So these are things that most tutors do a lot, right? Which is good, but at the same time, like, if you don't teach them at all and you ask them to teach in one class, it's like you're gonna expect, not say failure, but your expectations might be like, not so good, because you just teach them what they think is good, right? I rather train them and then see how they teach, because if they don't teach according to how I teach, then they are not a good fit. If they teach according to how I teach but they are not really there, then I can just improve on that, and they actually might be a good hire as well. Lastly is feedback. So after they teach the class, then you can feedback what can be improved. And sometimes they follow exactly what you do, and then you realize, oh shit, actually I missed out certain things that I can improve on. And that's where your documentation of teaching is important, because not only you can feedback to the teacher that's needs improvement, but you also can update in the documentation. And now your documentation of teaching or training materials actually improve along the way, because you created a feedback loop. And lastly is evaluate, right? Or feedback. So can this teacher be trained to your quality, right? If yes, great. Then I think congratulations, you have hired your first or maybe a very good tutor that later on can actually help you grow your business, right? But another question is, after the feedback, did they improve? So the thing is that feedback helps because of course you get better. But the thing is that if they don't improve, then that's where like you need to think whether you wanna, still hire this person. Most of the time I don't, because if they don't improve after a single feedback, then there's really there is a good indicator that this person won't improve in the future. Not saying this person is a bad teacher or whatnot, like just it's not a right fit. If you're okay with this person not improving, then go ahead, nothing wrong, right? It is your decision, your business. But do you want someone who stays with you that don't improve? And then you might be saying, oh, I train so much, they might leave. So it's like I say lah, just now, are you okay with training this person and they leave, or you don't train this person and don't improve and they stay, right? Because that's the nature of business. People come and go, and that's very normal. So if the teacher does exactly what you documented and they still did not perform, they did exactly what you say actually you're not that good, but they say I don't know, I did exactly what train, right? Document C. And then that's why you have to look in the mirror. Are you a good teacher? And that's something, not saying that you're a bad teacher. It's just that because you didn't have feedback, that might be the root cause. You are not a teacher that are not good, or you didn't actually listen to feedback and improve, right? And that's something you need to think about, right? Like for me, generally, I think I'm not like the best teacher out there, right? But the thing is that at least with for me, when I teach, I always have feedback on what to improve, and I know I'm growing because I improve on it, right? And that is very a simple way to improve, because if you don't improve along the way, you've been teaching the same thing, and you might be wondering why students are not coming back. There's the mirror for you. All right, with that said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want more of this kind of video, subscribe down below and comment down, are you hurt? Because if you are, that's something that you need to fix. Otherwise, slowly your business will go out of business because you're not a good teacher, and people want to be taught by a good teacher, right? So I believe you guys are good teachers, but you just generally need to know how good are you. And that's where I shared in a video where you should create a feedback form, or I call it a feedback system, to see whether you're a good teacher, and that's how you manage teachers, right? With that said, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.